So, you're thinking about using AI in your business, right? But here's the million-dollar question. What happens when that AI just starts making stuff up? Can you really trust it with your customers, your pricing, your entire reputation? Okay, let's get into it because there's a new way of doing things that completely changes the game.
Here's what we're going to cover. First, we'll tackle AI's biggest flaw for businesses. Then, we'll look at the brilliant fix. After that, we'll see how it handles real-world messy data, dig into security, and finally, wrap up with the ultimate payoff for your business. All right, let's start with the elephant in the room, AI's tendency to hallucinate. And look, this isn't some quirky bug. For a business, it's a huge liability when your AI assistant starts getting a little too creative with the facts.
To really get it, you've got to understand there are two types of AI at play here. Standard AI, well, it's kind of like a student answering from memory. It just pulls from this giant general pool of knowledge it has. But grounded AI, totally different. It's built to be a researcher. It is forced to look up the answer in your specific verified documents.
And that's the core of the problem right there. An AI hallucination is just a fancy way of saying the model is guessing. Just imagine it confidently telling a customer your flagship product is half off when it's not, or that you have a 90-day return policy when it's really 30. That's a direct hit to your bottom line, and more importantly, to your customers' trust.
So how do we stop the guessing? Well, let's get to the solution. There's this technology called Retrieval-Augmented Generation, or RAG, but honestly, forget the jargon. There is a much simpler way to think about this.
This is it. This is the whole idea. Instead of asking the AI to remember the answer from its massive memory, you give it the book, your company's verified info, and you tell it, find the answer in here. It's not allowed to invent. It's not allowed to guess. It has to find the fact and show its work. And that simple change is what makes it trustworthy.
So here's what that looks like in the real world. A customer asks a question. The AI doesn't just blurt out an answer. No, its first move is to search your private, secure knowledge vault. It then finds the exact verified answer right there in your documents, and only then does it give that answer to the customer. That process, that grounding in your facts, is what guarantees it's accurate.
Now, that sounds great in theory, right? But building that knowledge vault, that open book for the exam, well, that's a serious engineering challenge. So let's look at how you actually tame the chaos of real-world business data. Because let's be real, whose isn't? You've probably got info on physical menus, in old binders, scattered across Google Drive, maybe some in Notion. How on earth do you get all of that into one single reliable place for the AI to read? This is where some pretty clever engineering comes in. A process we call managed ingestion is built for exactly this mess. It uses something called OCR, optical character recognition, to literally read physical documents, like menus or service manuals. It stays in live sync with your digital stuff, like Google Drive, so it's never out of date. And this part is huge. It's optimized for multiple languages, including English, Hindi, and Assamese. For so many businesses, that is an absolute game changer. Okay, so the AI is accurate. Great. But is it secure? This brings us to what might be the most important piece of the puzzle. Trust. We have to talk about how your data is kept completely locked down. The promise has to be this simple, this absolute. Any system you use, any AI that touches your private business information must guarantee that it stays private. There is just no room for compromise here, period.
And here is the critical difference. When you use most of the big global AI models, your data can actually become part of their training material. It gets absorbed. A truly secure system, like one using MudraShield, uses what's called an air gap. Think of it like a digital fortress. Your data is in a totally separate, isolated environment. It's used to find answers for your customers, and that is it. It never gets used for training, and it never, ever leaves your private vault.
So let's put it all together. We've got an AI that's accurate because it reads your actual documents. It can handle all your messy, real-world data. And it keeps everything totally secure. What's the final payoff?
It all comes down to this number, 100%. Not mostly accurate, not 99% of the time, 100% accurate, based on your pricing, your policies, your facts. That is the standard you can and you should expect from business AI. It's the only way you can actually build a system you can rely on.
And all of this leads to a new standard, grounded intelligence. This isn't just about making AI smarter, it's about making AI trustworthy. It's verifiably accurate because you can trace every single answer back to a source document that you own and control.
It's the big shift from AI as a creative but unreliable brainstormer to AI as a true, dependable expert on your business.
Which leaves us with a final thought. In a world where pretty soon every business is going to have some form of AI, is the real competitive advantage not just having AI, but having AI that your customers and you yourself can absolutely, unequivocally trust? That right there, that could be the thing that separates the leaders from everyone else.